Okay, so we're going to go ahead and try this now. I've tried to leave up these quadrants so that we kind of remember how our ordered pairs are, what their signs are in each quadrant, and then we always want to have this here for us. The steps are gone, so make sure you've got your notes handy so we can kind of follow along with what we're doing in terms of the steps. So the first thing we want to do for the sine of 150 is we want to sketch the angle. So that's my first step. So I'm going to go ahead and sketch that angle. Now it's in degrees, so let's make sure we pay very close attention to this is 0, this is 180. So we're going to go with 180 because of the degrees, and this guy up here is going to be 90. So 150 is going to be in this quadrant here. This is my angle. So my angle is in quadrant 2. Step number 2 is going to be to find the reference angle. So because it's in this second quadrant, we have to figure out, okay, well, what's this angle right here? How far away is this 150 degree angle from the x-axis? Remember that reference angles is always the distance from your terminal side to the x-axis. So the way we can do that, if you can't think about that in your head right now, it's totally fine. Just take 180 minus 150. That's going to give us 30 degrees. So our reference angle is always going to be one of these, a 30, a 45, or a 60. If it's not, one of two things happens. One, it's a quadrantal angle, or two, you're wrong, you messed up. Okay, so we got this reference angle of 30 degrees. So now my step number 3 says I'm going to take my ordered pair from my chart. So here's my chart. Now because it's 30 degrees, I want the ordered pair that matches up with 30 degrees. So that's this ordered pair right here. So I'm going to put that ordered pair right here. So it's a radical 3 over 2, and it's 1/2. Now, what I'm working on here is the fact that it's in the second quadrant, so I have to remember my signs. So it's going to be a negative and a positive. That's very important for me. Signs are important. So you're going to take your ordered pair from your chart, but when you put it on your sketched angle, you've got to put the signs with it. Okay, now we have to remember that sine goes with y. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the y value. So the y value is 1/2, so that's my answer, 1/2. Okay, if I had to flip something, if I had a cosecant or a secant or a cotangent, I would have to do a reciprocal. If I had a tangent or a cotangent, I would have to also divide. But I don't, I just have a sine, and a sine goes with the y value, and the y value is 1/2. Okay, let's try another one where we have the secant of 135. So the secant of 135, that secant, we're going to have to realize we're going to have to do a flip. We're going to have to flip that at the end. So let's go ahead and sketch my angle, that 135 degrees. So again, because it's in degrees, we're going to say, okay, 0 and 180, which means this guy up here is 90. So 135 is going to be, again, in this second quadrant. So I'm going to get that reference angle by taking that 180 minus 135. There's that 45 degrees. Again, we got something off of our first quadrant here. If we don't, we messed up, or don't forget about those quadrantals. So that 45 degree reference angle means I'm going to take the ordered pair that matches with 45 degrees. So that's this ordered pair here. So I'm going to write that on my chart. So radical 2 over 2, radical 2 over 2. And again, because it's in this second quadrant, I have to make sure I'm matching up my signs. So negative, positive. All right, so I've got my ordered pair. Now this is a secant. So before I can flip, I have to say, okay, secant. Remember that secant matches up with cosine. So I'm going to think for a second, I need the cosine of 135 degrees. So cosine is my x value. So I'm going to steal this x value, which is negative radical 2 over 2. Now that's not my answer, okay? This is my answer for cosine. So I have to flip it for secant. So I'm going to flip this to become 2 over radical 2. Remember, the signs stay the same every time we flip it. Now as you look at this, can this be my answer? Can I leave that as my answer? No way. We're going to multiply by radical 2 on top and bottom. So now on the top, I have negative 2 radical 2 over 2 on the bottom. What's going to happen here? You guessed it. Those can cancel out, so we'll have a negative radical 2. That is my answer. Okay, so recapping that, we sketched that angle. We found the reference angle was 45. So we stole the ordered pair for 45 and we popped it into our sketch. We made sure that we put the signs that matched up with quadrant 2. Because it was a secant, I knew I needed my cosine, which is my x value. So we stole that x value, boom, there it is. And then we needed the secant, so we flipped it. This was bad math. We can't leave the radical in the denominator, so we rationalized it. We were able to cancel. So this right here, this is my final answer. The secant of 135 degrees is negative radical 2. All right, we're going to do one more here in degrees, and then we'll flip to radians. Okay, so last one here in degrees, we've got the sine of 240 degrees. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to follow those steps. We're going to go ahead and say, okay, where's 240 degrees? Remember, this is 0 and 180, and then this is going to pop over and also be 360. Because it's degrees, down here is going to be 270. So think about where that 240 is. It's going to lie between 180 and 270. So my angle is this whole thing here. Okay, so now I have to find my reference angle. So as I think about my reference angle, I have to think about how far past that x-axis this 240 degrees went. So we're going to take 240 and we'll subtract 180, and we'll see our reference angle is 60 degrees. Remember, we're always going to get a reference angle that's on our chart. If we didn't, check the quadrantal, otherwise you messed up. All right, so now I have this 60-degree reference angle, so I'm going to go to my chart and I'm going to steal the ordered pair that matches with that reference angle. So that's going to be this ordered pair right here. So I'm going to put that in my sketch. So my ordered pair is 1/2 first, and then radical 3/2 second. Now because it's in this third quadrant, I'm going left and down. So I'm going to have negative signs. So negative and negative. Make sure you mark your signs. All right, so now I don't have any flipping to do because I have just a regular sine function. I don't have any dividing to do because I don't have any tangent. So I just need to remember that sine goes with y. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to steal that y coordinate. So my answer is negative radical 3/2. It's the y coordinate of my ordered pair. All right, we're going to do one more quick video that's going to cover radians, and then you'll be all set.